Multi-dimensional power, a soulful journey with Maria Martinez. Embark on a captivating journey with Maria Martinez, a renowned human potential and wealth consciousness activator. Descendant of a shamanic lineage and mentored by archangels, Maria shares her extraordinary story and unveils the secrets to activating your DNA, healing past life traumas, and leaping across quantum timelines. Discover ancient wisdom infused with modern techniques to manifest abundance and unlock your potential. Welcome to the Wellness Driven Life Show, where you're about to go on a wellness driven ride. Let me share a little bit about the guests that we have here today. Maria Martinez is a human potential activator, wealth consciousness activator, multidimensional healer, energy alchemist, medical intuitive, and clinical hypnotherapist. She integrates functional medicine to identify the root causes of her clients' challenges and address physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Her connection with higher dimensional beings enhances her ability to provide comprehensive support for profound transformation. I am so pleased to help welcome to our stage today, Miss Maria Martinez. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
It's a pleasure. I am excited to share with our audience all of the knowledge and communication with other things that most of us don't today. So let's get started by sharing a little bit about yourself so the audience can get to know you more.
Thank you. Well, just a little bit about myself. My journey really started when I was really young, about 5 years old. I started mentoring with my guides and my angels. And they, at a very early age, were really training me to help spirits retrieve spirit fragments, to bring them from other dimensions and restore them to the physical body so that the individual could feel the freedom of being themselves and expressing themselves in this world. And that evolved into other things throughout my years. We had a family friend who was a shaman. And because she knew of my gift, she started initiating into that work through showing me different things for protection, different things to have some level of authority over myself and the work that I was doing. And then when I got to college, and I feel this was due to the sort of shock and trauma of being away from my family, that all of a sudden my gifts just amplified. And many times, many evenings, I had different beings coming to me from different dimensions. Some were just bringing information, some needed help, and others were not very benevolent. So that's when I decided that I needed to do something about my gifts and really hone in and decide what I was going to do with my gifts. So she became my first mentor at the age of 18, 19. And I started with the tarot, and that evolved into many things like energy alchemy, quantum healing, multidimensional healing, and really expanding into the different aspects of who we are at my work as a multidimensional being. So working with the emotions, facing emotions, and what the emotions create in the physical body, working with the mental programming and what that creates in the physical body, as well as how we create our reality from there, working at the energetic level and healing from that place and transforming and uplifting our vibration, as well as working with spirit and soul to change within and feel within and access the intelligence that is already available to us. We can design our lives and create the life that we want, from the area of health, from the area of wealth, from the area of love, and who we're here to be as human beings.
You know, wealth comes in so many different ways. Wellness is a part of that, having wealth in so many capacities, such as not just financial abundance, but the love that we have for ourselves and those around us. Please explain to us a little bit more about how you came to understanding and knowing this deeper connection of ourselves. You talked a little bit about the emotional piece of that and how all of these emotions that we harbor within really creates the realities that we see.
Hmm. Yeah. Working with the angels and with my guides and also other galactic beings that came in throughout my years, I developed an understanding, and I think it also came from their teachings that we are, exceptional beings, that we're extraordinary beings, that we are infinite beings, and that we've forgotten who we are, and that forgetfulness or that forgetting created that separation, and that separation is actually what's creating the pain and the suffering. And through my work, especially then very very early on, bringing spirit back to the body, so that was bringing the first connection, which is you, your spirit, your essence. That led me to the understanding that when we are connected, when we feel the essence of who we are within ourselves, we have immense potential to create the life that we want to live. We have the ability to heal ourselves. We have the ability to manifest our biggest dreams, into our reality. So through that work and through working with other people and through my own journey of healing myself, healing my ancestral lineage, healing from autoimmune, healing from many stories that really solidify that when you come back to the knowing, when you come back to who you are, that allows you to access infinite wisdom, infinite parts of yourself that create flow in your life, that create certainty, that create radical trust, that create a different awareness, like radical faith, that the belief that everything is possible in the world. So I started integrating that into my work, coming back to that knowing that we have the divine right because of who we are and how we were created and the essence of who we are. So we have the divine right to live and have everything that we desire.
Well, Maria, you bring in some very essential key elements here. And not to mention, this is a topic that a lot of people have difficulty understanding. I hear a lot of this is the oneness, right? Because we're infinite beings, connection to everything that is difficult to perceive and understand. But even the bigger message underneath this is that we are greater and more powerful and more divine than we know. And because of that, we suffer because we don't have that knowing and coming back to ourselves, because we gain that knowing and of course leading again to infinite possibilities. So, but that is a very tricky topic because a lot of people would call that selfish or they don't want to go there and they get confused on, well, how am I supposed to act? How am I supposed to know? How am I supposed to feel in regards to this self-love thing, in regards to feeling like I am greater than or more powerful than maybe God, or am I a piece of that, or am I separated from that? So could you shed a little bit more light on that piece as far as the source or God or whatever somebody wants to call it, the creator,
Mhm.
and if that is separate or oneness, and could you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah. So there's a couple explanations because you touched on a couple different things. So the first thing that I want to touch on is, we're talking earlier about the multidimensional self. So we have the mind, and really what you're talking about is the mind. The mind that says I'm not supposed to be this, or can I be that? So we address the mind by deprogramming what we know, and the way we do that is by first of all looking and moving into a higher awareness and what feels right to us. So understanding that what we think and the perspective that we have right now is a combination of information from our upbringing all the way up to now. Now, when we understand that it's something that we created as a result of all the input, we can also feel into it and see, does this feel like the ultimate truth? So that's one way of moving into a higher awareness so that we can understand the world around us and be able to decide, is this who we want to be? Is this all that we can be? So, for instance, when we look at uh, where we are now in our income, in our happiness, in our joy, does that feel fulfilled? Does that feel enough? Does that feel that it's all that we can have? And a lot of times it's not. It's not because the path that we took, the road that we took wasn't what we truly wanted. It was something that we thought we needed to be, like our parents wanted to be a certain thing because they think that, or they thought that was going to bring us success. And they were doing the best they could, guiding us. And we chose that path because we wanted to make them proud, because it was what was expected. And then we get to that place where we're in it and we feel unhappy and unfulfilled because it's not what we truly wanted. So that's when we get to look at, well, what makes me happy? Well, what brings me the greatest joy? And it's not being selfish, because when we're happy, the people around us are happy. When we're happy, we're actually inviting others to step into that happiness. And that is really important, because when we're happy and we hold the space of happiness, other people can feel inspired. Other people can feel our joy. Other people can experience love from us. The area of self-love, that area of self-love is actually really important, because if we have pain, if we have sadness, if we have shame, if we have guilt, that is part of that separation from source, or God or universe, whoever the God of our understanding is. We all come from different walks of life, and that may be different. But when we have shame, when we have blame, and we have guilt, or we have resentment, or we have anger, and it's unresolved, then that creates separation from having, from self-worth, from deserving, from creating. So we want to look at all of these from different aspects, like from the mental, from the emotional, from the energetic, from the spirit level. We want to look at it from all these dimensions so that we can find our own truth, our own ultimate truth. And the truth is what brings us greatest joy, what makes us happy, or what brings us the greatest level of happiness, what allows us to feel fulfilled, to be in service to others and contribution to others. And we all get to have that. And it is a journey, but it is understanding this is who I am now, but I do have a choice. Is this who I want to be? Is this, the best I can be? Is this the ultimate self I can be? And then we can make that choice by looking at, well, what areas of my life, or what beingness, or what belief systems, or what emotions am I running that are not allowing me to be my best self at the moment? And then, of course, we can address all of that across the board. And that begins the shift and the transformation to becoming the next version of ourselves that holds a higher frequency, a higher happiness, a higher deservingness, a higher self-worth, a higher value that also allows us to attract more into our life. The area of, or the question to, are we being selfish or even greedy? No, we all have dreams, and it's okay for us to dream big. When I think about my dreams, it's about impact, it's about service, it's about legacy. And regardless of what your dreams are, there is a level of that, whether service to yourself, service to your family, service to your community, impact. We are living that, and we are, as long as we're choosing what's good for us and good for everybody around us, and wealth is good for us, health is good for us, happiness is good for us and everybody around us, joy is good for us and for everybody around us. As long as we choose in the highest good, it's always going to be something that is amplifying our space and humanity, that is up leveling humanity. It's awakening humanity. Going back to the other part of your question about oneness and separation, earlier I was talking about who we are, right? And many people may have different ideas. And I speak from what I know and what I see and what I hear from my guides and my angels and my connection, my own relationship with Source. So what I know, what I see is that we are creation itself. We were created from the God spark. And again, that could be whatever it is to everyone. We all have the God of our understanding. And as that creation itself, we are infinite beings. We were created to be fulfilled, to live a life of happiness, to, everything that is abundance, wealth, prosperity, that's already part of who we are. Joy, happiness, that's already available to us. It's not something that we have to work toward. It's not something that we have to prove ourselves worthy of. It's already ours. And when we realize, that's when we're realizing the God within us. The God is within us. The one is within us. Because it's all around us. Love is available to everybody, and it's available to us within us ourselves because we were created from love. So when we realize that everything that we seek is already within us, and we start coming inward and we start recognizing ourselves as that beingness, we start recognizing ourselves as the essence of our truth, and we start embracing and accepting that allows whatever we're working on, projects, whether it's our healing, to accelerate. It allows our wealth to accelerate. It allows whatever other projects, whether it's relationships, to accelerate. Forgiveness is also really important. When we forgive ourselves, especially for the things that we're holding on to the past, it creates this openness in our field. It creates a space for us to bring more. When we carry anger, hate, resentment, shame, blame, any of those lower emotions, rage, bitterness, when we carry any of those, envy, when we carry any of those, they're like heavy, heavy, dense energy in our field that clogs it, blocks it, and it repels all the good things that we desire in our life. So when we start doing our inner work, and that's the self-love part, when we start forgiving ourselves and forgiving others, and when we start accepting ourselves for who we are as a human being, and then realizing that there's so much more of us, when we start honoring the divine within us, then that, like, you can even feel it right now. There's an amplification of our field. It's almost like, our field lights up when we recognize that we are divine. And then we can begin to access that. We can begin to bring that forth in everything that we're creating. If we come from that space of self-love, self-acceptance, self-belief, self-trust, then the space that we create opens up, and it creates flow. It creates synchronicities. It creates the universe wanting to orchestrate for us, because now we're saying yes to what's already available to us. We're not fighting. We're not moving against the grain. We're saying yes to what's already available to us, what we've been blessed with.
To ourselves. We're saying yes to ourselves.
Yeah.
And so that's such a beautiful aspect of it. And you mentioned that all of these things, when we recognize and the mirror is fully there of who we are, then it just only helps evolve humanity in general. And so thank you so much, Maria, for sharing that. We're going to move into our commercial. And when we get back, I would love to know a little bit more. Let's dive deeper into the story of when you first started sensing and coming into knowing who you were. Stay tuned. Are you ready to take control of your ride to wellness? Rev up with Driven Living. Visit www.drivenliving.com and buckle up for a journey. Get exclusive access to our Wellness Driven Life Show guest portal, where you can dive deep into the minds of our esteemed guests. Sign up for our newsletter and get insider scoops on these distinguished personalities. It's like having a backstage pass to their life-changing wisdom. But that's not all. You'll also receive a free hug. You heard me right, a free hug. An enlightening ebook from the Driven Living team. Discover the science-backed benefits of hugging yourself. It's a fill-up for your wellness tank. Because at Driven Living, we believe in fueling your journey to wellness, both physically and psychologically. So what are you waiting for? Visit www.drivenlivin.com today. Welcome back, everyone, here with the beautiful Maria Martinez. Maria, I would love to know just a little bit more about what it felt like, what it was like for you when you really started coming into knowing. Now, you mentioned earlier on in your story when you were a teenager and you left home, you started to experience some greater power within yourself that just started coming to the forefront even more. I find it fascinating because when we go through life's transitions and we are thrust into different situations, different environments, it definitely enhances all of those things. And I would love to know your perspective on, is that something we're receiving that information because our soul is sort of trying to direct us and shift us to the right to see yourself, to know thyself, or what is your thoughts on that? And could you share a little bit more deeper into that journey of yours?
Yes, absolutely. And I do believe that your soul is trying to show you who you are and is trying to show you more of who you're meant to be here. My journey, what I would say, when I first realized that I was having conversations with the divine, I was, it seemed like play, it seemed like a dream. And then, so this was happening in the astral plane, but then it started happening in my day to day. I would see spirits walking around my house. I would see people that had passed away walking around. I was visited by Jesus and by Mother Mary um, on a number of occasions, and that's when I realized this is really interesting. When I started hearing the voices, it was a little bit of a shock. At, at the beginning, it was a little bit interesting because I didn't know what to do with it. And I think I was a little bit too young to understand that this was my path. I felt a little bit just kind of not knowing what to do with it. But as they continue, they started giving me sort of the tools and resources to use the information that they were providing like they were guiding me through the process of whatever I needed to do when I was helping others.
Oftentimes I hear that when we receive the information, I mean, so much of it too is that for most of us, and unless it's like you, it just came to you and automatically. But for most of us, we actually have to ask for guidance from our angels or our loved ones who have passed or what have you. But we have to invite it in, and so we can receive from them. But is what you're saying, it just came to you and you were able to harness what they were telling you.
Yes, and I actually, so to your question, many people do just receive that information. Now, some of us come in already knowing that this is the work that we're going to do from a very young age, and others we awaken later in life, especially when we come in knowing, and
Mm.
most of us do come in with this awareness very early on, and either we decide to shut it down or we decide to awaken later, or we just decide this is not the lifetime that we're going to express it. um, and many people do come in with that awareness and with that knowing, and it's just information that it comes in. Now when we're trying to awaken our gifts, that's when we're calling it in. That's when we're getting into the space of opening up our channels. That's when we're getting into the space of asking and receiving. uh, Now I mean, I just have conversations. The conversations are coming. I'm hearing and then I'm seeing, and then I see different images. I'm seeing stories unfold. Also, it depends on your clairs, right? If you're clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, uh,
Mhm.
claircognizant, which I am all of those. A lot of us have one very dominant. So a lot of times you're seeing, or a lot of times you're hearing, a lot of times you're sensing. So when you're only sensing, then you want, sometimes we ask so that we can hear or that we can get images. Or when you're sensing or when you're hearing and you want to feel, then we ask. But the information really is available to us, and there's a way of us to get into that space and receive that information, and be able to unlock and open uh, all that information, and having that communion with Source and that communion with our divine team. It's a practice, and especially if we decide this is what we want to do, this is how we want to serve humanity. It's a beautiful practice that moves us into a flow of being with the divine, being with divine intelligence that allows us to have a beautiful downloads and also conversations and also receive information for others. So like in psychic medium or mediumship, or in when we're doing readings like tarot reading, akashic readings, astrology readings. So that information is what we're asking for someone else. But in reality, that information free free flows. We just sometimes need to get into that space to hear it come through. It's sometimes we hear when we're in that zone, either we're really in meditation and we're in that trance, or sometimes when we're working out. I get a lot of downloads when I work out as well. Um,
Motion creates emotion.
Yes, it's different for everyone, in how we receive the information and what information we're receiving from whom. You know, some of us are really connected to our angels, some of us are really connected to our guide team, some of us are really connected to source or galactic beings. So we get information from different sources, and how we get it and how we develop that is the practice that we take on.
Maria, do you mind sharing with us what are some of the things you do on a daily basis in order to hone in on these skills, your listening skills, whether it's coming from any of those different ways that you can receive the information, but how do you keep this as a daily practice for yourself to heighten it?
hmm So for me, God, source, universe are all the same one. The divine creation or creator creation, they're all the same. So when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I say is good morning, God. And then that's where I begin. Before I even getting out of bed, I'm already having a conversation with God, my divine team. And then I start asking, like, how can I create the greatest impact today? What frequencies can I embody today? And then when I'm
Mm.
asking, I can see and feel what's coming through, and I can see my divine team coming in. So for me, that's a beautiful practice that I do. Um, so I do it, and I start in bed, and often I'll sit into a meditation position and just move into that stillness to 0 point energy. And when I move into the 0 point energy, I come into the center of my head, and then I come into the center of my heart and experience the divine, experience creation, experience divine intelligence and the stillness around me. And then in that stillness, I can sense, feel, hear, see everything that is being downloaded. And then I have conversations with God, with universe. I have conversations with my ancestors, with my divine team. I have conversations with my guides and my angels about what we're up to today, or things that I'm working on, whether it's healing or healing myself, healing others, or projects that I'm currently working on. So it's like a team, like a team effort that in my practice, my meditation. And I really move into the space of allowing whatever wants to come through, not putting too much pressure or control of how I want things to go or how I want things to be. Moving into the space of stillness and really allowing the divine to speak to me and allowing myself to hear the divine. And to do that is to get out of my own way. So that's why the morning is really perfect for that, because
Mm.
you're still in that sort of place of not quite awake, um, and your mind is not fully active yet. So when I go into that space and allow the divine, I also call in the divine feminine, the goddess, to embody the goddess nature, which is also abundance and prosperity and creation. Embody the goddess queen, queen mother. Uh, and it's a very beautiful practice, and I connect to my body as one. I connect to the multidimension of myself. And the other practice along with that is sending blessings. So I send blessings to everybody in my house. I send blessings to all parts of myself, including my inner child, and especially my inner child. And I send blessings to my city and blessings to the state. So I expand it throughout the world. And as I hold the space of blessings, I bring in compassion, loving kindness. I bring in gratitude. I bring in having. So inviting everybody to awaken to their happiness, awaken to love, awaken to fulfillment and joy and happiness, and being the best version of themselves as well. Because together we can uplift humanity. Together we can change the world. Together we can
Wow.
heal.
Maria, that is a absolute beautiful practice that you have. Thank you so much for sharing that. And what you're saying is something that I mentioned to my daughter a few mornings ago. And I said, "You're never truly alone." She asked me, "Mom, can you give me some wisdom, something that I can, utilize, some great stuff?" And I said, "Watch the show." And kind of a cop out, but at the same time I said, "Toriana, you're going to have this information forever. It's time stamped. Like, you get this video product of your mother sharing incredible wisdom and with some of the top incredible smartest people on the planet, and you get to have that." I said, "But truly, we're never alone. You're never going to be just without me." And so you're talking about bringing in your team, and this is your spiritual team. And I think that is really important, because although we do feel alone sometimes, we just truly are not. And when we have that understanding, and you have this process that you're inviting in every single day, to where you are bringing in the energies of that of which we cannot see. And it's a beautiful work and scientifically proven. So much of the work that the Heart Math Institute is doing, also, you talked about bringing in love and compassion. And so you're bringing in that heart brain coherence, which is also essential, which, as we know, it elevates the frequencies outside of ourselves, and that is in turn elevating us and humanity. And that visualization piece of beginning with yourself and your family and your state and the world, it's such a beautiful process. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure.
So, Maria, I'm excited to know, what are you most excited about creating?
Wow. What I'm excited about creating is serving people in the highest level, getting on large stages, and impacting millions of people around the world. That is currently what I'm working on, and my greatest wish and desire, which I'm currently manifesting. Creating legacy wealth, generational wealth as well, and teaching young people, and especially my kids, to create generational wealth. Um, to have a great relationship with themselves, especially the conversation you have with your daughter. It's a conversation that I have with my children as well. And I also mentor young girls, and I have that conversation with them as well. So that's what I'm creating. I'm creating an empire of love and legacy and impact, and service and contribution, and uplifting humanity.
And we are all so fortunate to have you do that. Thank you so much. Maria Martinez, it has been a delight to have you on the Wellness Driven Life Show. I want to make sure that everyone knows where to find you. So, for those of you watching, I've had it displayed here on the screen throughout the show at various points. And for those of you listening in, visit www.360prosperity.com. Easy peasy. It is also in the description below. So, I want to again thank you, Maria, for being our guest on the Wellness Driven Life Show. And thank you so much to our audience, because without you, the show wouldn't be possible. So goodbye for now, and we will see you next time.
Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you.